Respect isn't earned, it's scanned. Within 10 seconds, people decide your social worth like they're shopping online. 1. The Law of Unapologetic Boundaries. Ever notice how the people everyone respects never explain themselves? That's not confidence, it's strategy. Every time you justify your decisions, you announce you don't believe in them. Strong people say no once. Weak people say no, followed by a TED Talk. Psychologically, humans equate brevity with authority. The more words you use to defend your boundary, the less power it carries. So, the next time you feel the urge to explain, stop. Silence is heavier than justification. The moment you stop over-explaining, people stop assuming they can change your mind. 2. The respect paradox. The harder you try to be liked, the less you're respected. Social psychology calls it the ingratiation effect. When your approval-seeking becomes transparent, people subconsciously rank you lower in status. Ever met someone who laughs at every joke, agrees with every opinion, and somehow still gets ignored? That's why. Your brain reads excessive agreeableness as weakness, not warmth. Ironically, moderate resistance, saying "I don't agree" or holding your ground, creates tension, and tension equals attention. Respect isn't about being nice, it's about being slightly unpredictable. 3. The mirror of emotional containment. Here's a brutal truth. Emotional control equals perceived competence. In high-stakes situations, people don't judge what you feel. They judge how well you hide it. Studies on status perception show that calm faces trigger instinctive trust responses, while visible anxiety lowers perceived authority by up to 40%. Ever wonder why the quiet one in the meeting suddenly becomes the smartest person in the room? Their composure hijacks your brain's leadership detector. So when someone tries to provoke you, remember, whoever loses control first loses power. 4. The rule of selective availability. People respect what they can't always reach. If you're constantly available, you train others to see you as background noise. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. We instinctively assign higher value to what feels limited. That's why the friend who replies instantly to every message becomes invisible, while the one who takes hours somehow seems important. Your time is social currency. Spend it too freely, and it becomes worthless. The brutal twist? People rarely realize they're disrespecting you. They just subconsciously follow the pattern you taught them. Every unanswered call, every "sorry, I'm busy right now," quietly rewires the social hierarchy in your favor. Respect grows in absence, not in constant service. So, next time you feel guilty for not replying right away, remember, kings don't sprint to their thrones when someone knocks. 5. The power of controlled eye contact. You can command a room without saying a word. If you master this one rule, eye contact is social dominance in physical form. Too little, and you look submissive. Too much, and you look unhinged. The secret lies in the 2-second rule. Maintain steady eye contact for 2 full seconds before breaking it deliberately, as if you're the one choosing when to disengage. Neurological studies show prolonged mutual gaze triggers a mild stress reaction. People feel read by you, evaluated. Dominant individuals exploit this micro-tension to establish control. Next time someone challenges you, don't rush to speak. Just look, steady, unblinking, calm. Their body will do the rest. Heartbeat rises, voice softens, posture shifts. You didn't argue. You just silently reminded them their brain recognizes you as higher rank. The mouth talks. The eyes decide who wins. 6. The principle of self-respect. Signaling humans are status-reading machines. Within seconds, they scan your behavior for one key question. Do you respect yourself? You broadcast the answer constantly, through posture, tone, micro-decisions. When you accept bad treatment, over-explain, or chase validation, people don't consciously think this person is weak. Their brain simply downgrades your rank in the social hierarchy. Harvard behavioral studies show that observers can detect low self-esteem in under 0.2 seconds by micro-expressions alone, especially in the jaw and shoulders. You can't fake confidence. Your nervous system tells on you. Want to flip the signal? Stop chasing reassurance. Stop shrinking in conversations. Occupy your space, physically and verbally. Speak slower. Move slower. Because people don't follow the loudest person in the room. They follow the one who seems least afraid of silence. 7. The currency of detachment. If you want power in any social setting, be willing to walk away. Detachment is the ultimate status amplifier. When you're not desperate for approval, attention, or outcomes, people feel it, and they adjust their behavior to earn your engagement. Behavioral economists call this the walkaway effect. In negotiations, dating, even friendships, the side most willing to lose everything usually wins everything. Ever notice how your ex suddenly texts you back the moment you stop caring? Or how clients become compliant right after you stop chasing them? That's not coincidence. It's psychology. Humans crave the validation of the person who doesn't need theirs. True power isn't control. It's indifference. The moment you can look at someone and think, if this connection ends, I'll still be fine. They feel it. And ironically, that's when they start trying not to lose you. 8. The gravity of speech speed. Here's a secret most confident people never tell you. They talk slower not because they're calm, but because they can afford to be. Fast talk screams insecurity. Slow talk demands patience. Psycholinguistic studies show that people who pause mid-sentence are rated as 30% more authoritative than those who fill silence with like, and nervous laughter. Why? Because when you rush, you signal subconscious fear that someone will interrupt or stop listening. When you slow down, you signal the opposite, that your words are worth waiting for. Try this in your next argument. Instead of raising your voice, lower it and reduce your pace. Watch the shift. The other person will start speaking faster, over-explaining, tripping on their own defense. You didn't just win the argument, you took control of its tempo. The calm one always runs the room. 9. The rule of behavioral contrast. Humans respect patterns until someone breaks them. That's why unpredictability, used strategically, is a psychological weapon. Behavioral contrast is the art of surprising people just enough to make them reevaluate your value. If you're always serious, a single well-timed joke makes people lean in. If you're always helpful, a sudden boundary hits like a thunderclap. Social neuroscience shows that unexpected behavior triggers a dopamine spike in observers. It literally forces their brain to recode your identity. That's why mystery and charisma are just science wearing nice clothes. So don't be consistent. Be patterned chaos. Respect doesn't come from predictability. It comes from reminding people you're capable of surprise, and therefore capable of power. 10. The law of low emotional reaction. Here's one of the most savage social truths. The less you react, the more control you gain. In tense situations, people unconsciously look for emotional leadership. Whoever keeps their cool sets the tone for everyone else. That's why manipulators test you. They poke, provoke, and exaggerate to see how easily they can make you flinch. The trick? Never let them see what works. Neuroscience shows that maintaining a neutral facial expression during conflict activates the same dominant circuitry as physical size. Your stillness literally intimidates the human brain. So, next time someone throws emotional chaos at you, imagine you're a mirror. Reflect nothing. Let their panic echo back at them. They'll start self-correcting just to escape the discomfort of your silence. In the animal kingdom, stillness precedes power. Humans are no different. 11. The prestige of minimal words. There's an ancient rule among power players. The more you say, the less they hear. In social hierarchies, concise language equals competence. When you strip away fluff, people start treating your words like premium currency. Ever notice how CEOs or elite negotiators talk? No filler, no justification, just clean verbal strikes. That's because our brains automatically associate linguistic efficiency with higher status. The assumption being, if they don't need to convince me, they must already have authority. Try this test. Next time someone challenges you, respond with one short sentence, then shut up. The silence afterward will stretch, and they'll start rushing to fill it. That's when you know you've flipped the dynamic. Words can persuade, but restraint commands. 12. The hierarchy of posture. Before you speak, your body already made your introduction. Humans are subconsciously obsessed with micro-body positioning, shoulder angle, foot direction, chin height. Every posture you hold signals rank. Research from Princeton's Department of Social Cognition found that observers can gauge a person's social confidence within 250 milliseconds of seeing their stance. That means you can destroy or dominate your first impression before your mouth even opens. Here's the breakdown. Shoulders back signal availability and self-assurance. Crossed arms signal defense. Hunched posture screams submission. Even your head tilt changes perception. A slightly lowered chin, not raised, creates the illusion of quiet power, not arrogance. Think of posture as nonverbal punctuation. The way you stand ends sentences your words never finish. Respect isn't earned through titles. It's transmitted through spine alignment. 13. The rule of reaction inversion. Respect doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling how you react to them. Psychologists call it response calibration. When someone tries to provoke you, they're secretly measuring how much emotional control they can steal. Example, someone insults you. A low-status person defends, argues, or retaliates. A high-status person smirks, not because they're unaffected, but because they understand this. The moment you react, you confirm power imbalance. This is why silence after disrespect is terrifying. It forces the offender into uncertainty, replaying their own words for weakness. Every emotional reaction you don't give becomes a psychological debt they owe you. Reversal is the real flex. They tried to trigger you and ended up performing for your approval. 14. The pause first effect. Here's the easiest social dominance trick that instantly makes people lean in. Wait half a second before responding to anything. That pause, so tiny it's barely noticeable, creates the illusion that you're filtering, evaluating, judging. Behavioral psychologists call it deliberation signaling. People interpret delayed responses as higher intelligence and self-control. Even artificial delays in speech rhythm can make you seem 20% more competent and confident in evaluations. Watch political leaders, elite lawyers, or seasoned negotiators. They pause strategically. They let silence make others uncomfortable. Every conversation has an invisible metronome. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the respect. So, before you answer, breathe. That half-second delay tells the world, you're not my priority. My thoughts are. 15. The dominance of framing. In any discussion, whoever defines the context wins before the conversation even starts. This is called framing control, and it's one of the most savage social rules ever discovered. If you're explaining yourself inside someone else's frame, why were you late? Why did you do that? You've already lost. The trick is to reframe instantly. Instead of defending, redirect. Example, why were you late? What matters is that we're starting strong now. Psychologically, reframing breaks the accusation loop, the primitive instinct that puts one person in dominance mode and the other in apology mode. The moment you refuse their frame, you teach their brain that you can't be cornered. Control the frame, and you control reality. Because respect is never about truth, it's about narrative ownership. 16. The law of subtle disengagement. Here's something manipulative people know instinctively. Attention equals power. That means the fastest way to reverse a power dynamic is to withdraw yours. Every time you slightly lean back, glance away, or give delayed responses, you send micro-signals of autonomy, your brain's way of saying, I don't need to keep this connection alive. This triggers a mild panic in the other person's subconscious. They start trying to re-engage you, seeking your validation without realizing it. Social hierarchy isn't decided by words. It's decided by who's chasing whom. This is why emotionally unavailable people seem magnetic, not because they are special, but because their detachment creates artificial scarcity. Use this sparingly. Pull back too far and you become forgettable. But in balance, it's social gravity in action. 17. The rule of conversational ownership. Respect lives in language, but dies in overexplaining. There's a hidden hierarchy in every conversation. The questioner has power, the defender has none. When someone peppers you with questions, why'd you do that? Are you sure? Do you think that's smart? They're not being curious. They're asserting dominance through interrogation. The way out? Flip the roles. Answer short, then immediately counter-question. Example, why'd you say that? Interesting you noticed that. What did it sound like to you? Congratulations, you just regained control. Linguistic analysis of high-status individuals shows they ask fewer but sharper questions, often turning explanations into evaluations. They don't justify, they observe. When you own the conversational tempo, you own the social field. Because in human dynamics, Whoever asks last leads. 18. The law of predictable reactions. The easiest way to lose respect? Be emotionally predictable. When people can forecast exactly how you'll react, anger, approval, anxiety, they start using it against you. That's not manipulation, that's pattern recognition. Behavioral economists call this emotional mapping. Once someone learns your buttons, they can play you like a vending machine. Want power? Confuse the map. Respond to criticism with humor. React to praise with silence. Smile when people expect defensiveness. Every unpredictable response resets your social value, because the second people can't predict you, they must pay attention to you. Respect isn't earned through consistency, it's maintained through strategic unpredictability. 19. The status echo effect. Your reputation doesn't live in what you say, it lives in how people repeat you. Every time you speak, behave, or post online, you're planting a status echo. The tone, phrasing, or image others will unconsciously mimic when they mention you. Psychologists studying social contagion found that charisma literally spreads linguistically. Confident people speak in declaratives, not question marks. They use metaphors, not apologies, and everyone around them slowly mirrors it. That's why powerful people never beg for reputation. They design it. Speak like your words will be quoted. Act like every interaction is a highlight reel of your self-respect, because it is. And when you do, your influence keeps echoing long after you've left the room. 20. The hierarchy of energy. Respect isn't about beauty, money, or status. It's about vibe control. Social dominance is often just energy management, who drains the room and who stabilizes it. People who radiate calm focus are instinctively ranked higher because our brains associate stillness with security and competence. It's primal. When you walk into a space, your nervous system broadcasts a frequency, frantic, neutral, or composed. Everyone subconsciously tunes to it. The trick? Anchor your energy down, not out. Slow your breath, drop your shoulders, speak softly but decisively. You're not trying to impress, you're stabilizing the field. And once people start mirroring your calm, that's the moment you become the emotional center of the room. That's real authority. Not volume, but gravity. 21. The rule of selective disagreement. Yes men get liked, contrarians get respected. It's called strategic dissent, the art of disagreeing without hostility, used by high-status communicators to signal confidence and intellectual autonomy. When you challenge someone calmly and precisely, you trigger competence bias. Your disagreement is read as intelligence, not arrogance. Example, instead of, "You're wrong," try, "That's an interesting point." But here's another angle. That phrase hits the sweet spot between courage and control. Agreeing with everything is social anesthesia. Disagreeing with precision is social caffeine. If you never say no, people assume you can't. But if you can disagree without emotional heat, congratulations, you just crossed into elite conversational territory. 22. The prestige of being unimpressed. Here's one of the coldest truths about respect. Admiration is hierarchy in disguise. The more impressed you appear, the more you lower your own rank. Psychologists studying status perception found that people who respond to praise, beauty, or power with neutrality are instantly perceived as higher value, because their brain signals say, "I've seen this before." That's why the most magnetic people never gush. They acknowledge greatness, but rarely worship it. Their calm reaction forces others to chase their approval instead. Next time someone tries to flex their success, don't compete. Don't even match their energy. Just smile and say, "That's cool." Then change the subject. Respect flows to the person who treats power like it's normal. 23. The law of controlled vulnerability. Want people to respect you and trust you? Here's the paradox. Share, but selectively. Vulnerability, when unfiltered, signals insecurity. But curated vulnerability, small, intentional disclosures, signals supreme confidence. Research from the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology shows that people who reveal a single, controlled flaw are rated as more likable only if they first demonstrate competence. It's called the pratfall effect. That's why strong leaders tell short stories about failure after they've proven mastery. It humanizes them without weakening authority. The rule, bleed once, not constantly. Share enough to be relatable, never enough to be pitied. Respect is balance. Too much perfection breeds distance. Too much exposure breeds contempt. The trick is to appear human without ever losing mystery. 24. The rule of silent exposure. Never expose people directly. Expose them silently. When someone disrespects you publicly, your instinct is to clap back, prove them wrong, reclaim control. But that's amateur psychology. The high-status response is non-reactive exposure. You let their behavior speak louder than any defense ever could. Because here's the thing, when you don't retaliate, observers' brains switch roles. They start defending you. Studies on audience bias show that silent restraint during conflict increases perceived moral authority by up to 60%, because people project self-control onto the quiet one. So when someone tries to drag you down, let them. Every insult digs their own hole deeper. You don't need to reveal who they are. Their behavior is your microphone. 25. The law of strategic withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't confrontation, it's disappearance. Humans are addicted to closure. When you suddenly go silent, you leave an open psychological loop in their head that plays on repeat. Why did they stop talking? Did I do something? Are they angry? That's social withdrawal, not ghosting, and it's a tactical reset of power dynamics. Psychological reactance theory explains it perfectly. The moment someone feels they've lost your attention, their brain scrambles to regain it. You can't teach people to value your presence. You make them feel your absence. Every time you step back, you train the world to step forward. Respect doesn't come from always showing up. It comes from knowing when to vanish. 26. The final rule, the art of effortless authority. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. The most respected people don't chase respect. They radiate inevitability. Effortless authority isn't arrogance. It's internal calibration. It's the energy of someone who knows they can walk into any room and adapt, lead, or leave without losing themselves. They don't posture. They don't perform. They simply exist with self-alignment so strong that other people's opinions slide off like rain on armor. Research on status coherence calls this the integrity halo. When your words, tone, and actions align, the human brain automatically labels you as trustworthy and powerful, even before it understands why. True respect doesn't roar. It hums quietly beneath the surface, because power isn't in the spotlight. It is the spotlight. So now you know, respect isn't luck, it's psychological architecture. It's the way you talk, pause, lean back, and disappear at the perfect time. Every move either says, "I own myself," or "I need approval." And the world, always, listens to the first voice louder. Which of these 26 rules exposed your biggest social glitch? Tell me below. Let's see how many of us have been accidentally disrespecting ourselves this whole time.